Alrighty, we are live. We are recording. And what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Tangents Podcast. My name is Dalibor. This is Tangents episode 85, believe it or not, 85. We are just pushing through. We did not have a podcast last week because, well, honestly, we didn't record one.
That's it. That's it.
That's really it. I meant to on Saturday, and then I was like, "Oh, it's Sunday evening." Well, there it is.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
And my cohort here, Hadis, my cousin, my best friend.
I'm back. I'm back, bitches.
He's back, bitches.
I'm back.
We have a fun episode lined up.
Do
today.
we? Because we didn't discuss.
We didn't discuss.
I'm going super blind.
I just set up some topics here for us. So I want to start with we're gonna leave the tease the title that's on the Caffeine Live broadcast. If you guys don't know, we broadcast these live when we do them for the most part.
Caffeine.tv/T3G.
T3G Media.
Media?
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
I was like, why'd you stop? I thought you cut out.
Because I couldn't remember if it was media in there or not.
Yeah, no, for sure, media. And today the title is time travel, and we're gonna leave that one. That's our little tease. That's our little click through tease, and we're gonna talk about first the Z Proto. Okay, the Z Proto, which is a Nissan concept vehicle. The next
full
Z.
Throttle on this shit.
You gotta get a little full throttle on this. This is the Z Proto, the Nissan Z Proto,
the Z Proto.
And in general, I want to talk about more what companies are doing with new products this year.
Right.
This is a different year than any other year in modern history.
That's for sure.
And it's been very interesting to see kind of what lengths everybody is going to make things cheaper for people, to make things more accessible for people. And I want to start here because this is, I would say, like an anomaly, because this is not something they had to do. You've talked about this on your channel, and you've talked about this in your comments. This is not something they had to do. They didn't have to make this vehicle. They didn't have to make a manual vehicle, which is, outside of their current production line. They don't have any other manual vehicles as far as I'm aware of. So they have to, they're making an entire new, drivetrain and everything to support this vehicle. They did not have to do this, but they did.
Yeah.
And this is to serve a very, very specific, one would even say niche market.
I mean, it's 100% niche.
Not everyone's getting. This is not the daily driver for every American. Not everyone's going to buy this.
No.
And now, why do you think they did that?
In all honesty, I think it's because Nissan truly does. I think, how can I put this? I think Nissan has very passionate engineers. I think they have very passionate team behind their cars.
For sure.
And you can see that. I mean, even if you watch the actual announcement stream that they did, you could see them always talking about where they go back with the Nissan performance vehicles, right? A lot of them go back to the 240s, and a lot of them also go back to the Nissan GTR R32. And they all talk about their passion behind being in love with those vehicles if they weren't around when those were being developed, or if some of them are still around that were part of the development. They love being part of that and everything that's come since in the performance aspect from Nissan.
There's an emotional connection.
There's 100%
building it. The people who have been part of this series as consumers. There is 100%. An emotional connection.
100%. And there's, I mean, in all honesty, Nissan does have a pretty big fan base for their performance vehicles. I mean, they do.
Oh yeah.
Now, once again, going back to your statement, Nissan didn't have to do this. They don't make their monies on the GTR or the Z. That's completely a niche thing, because just like Toyota, they make their money on Maximas, Versas, Sentras, Jukes, the Rogue. That's what they make their money on. They don't make their money on performance vehicles. So they
Right.
didn't have to do this at all, let alone make a manual version of this car.
Oh,
So
they got the timeline here on their site too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it
1969 was the original Z.
Yeah, so and I mean it was released to compete with the Porsches at the time, right? They wanted to provide the public with a cheap version of the Porsches
I
and
see
still
it.
be competitive in performance, and it was. It literally did compete with the Porsches they wanted to compete with in that era. Um, the first GTR that got the name Godzilla was the R32, and the reason it got that was because it was dominating in Australia at like the time attack and the Bathurst racing over there. It literally just dominated the scene, and it was called the Godzilla Dare in Australia because it was just destroying the competition. And ever since those two eras, Nissan's been providing their consumers with these cars to be available to them, and it's just crazy for me to see that that they ultimately ended up getting flack for the design, which is weird to me. You're talking about people, you're talking about companies like Ford and Chevy and Dodge who released modern retro looks,
Right.
and
They
then
sure did.
Nissan gets this flack for releasing a modern retro look, and I'm just like, the fuck?
That's 100% real because that I remember when the Challenger came out. Granted, the Charger came out, it was not a retro look,
No,
so
no, yeah,
nobody
the
liked it.
Charger, yeah, yeah, nobody gave a
Nobody
shit.
liked the Charger
Yeah.
until they fixed it, quote unquote, and they made it a little better. The taillights got way better. The old taillights were
Oh yeah,
garbage.
just even the front, the rear, yeah, the
Yeah,
2015 and
they
up
when they
models are
upgraded it,
beautiful.
people liked the Charger. But when the Charger
Right,
came out,
right,
they didn't like it because it was new. People wanted the nostalgic kind of flashback because the
right,
Mustang had done that. When the
right.
Mustang came in the 2004, when they came in with that new model, that was like the perfect blend of classic nostalgia and like modern technology.
Yep.
Because the from the 5.0s, from the Fox body into the 90s, it like diverged from what a Mustang was.
Oh yeah, I mean it
Like,
didn't have the I mean even with the Fox bodies, like it didn't look like your original Mustangs that came out in the 60s and what you had in the 70s. Like
yeah.
it was not the
I
same
mean, we don't
car.
we
It,
don't I
it's
mean, we
just
don't speak of the 70s Mustangs, but
true,
but like it
true.
people liked that look. So when Dodge came out with it, Chrysler came out with it, they were like, we gotta do something. And they were like, people liked the Mustang coming out, let's do a Charger. Charger came out, people were like, what the fuck is this four-door monstrosity? Like, we don't want this, nobody wanted this. And then they were like, here's the Challenger. It's basically a smoothed down version of the 1967 Charger or
Literally,
Challenger.
literally.
And they just like polished off the 67 Challenger body and they were like, here you go. Is this better? And people jumped
Loved
on
it.
it.
Yeah.
Jumped on it.
Yeah, it just went crazy for it.
And then they did the Ford then did the GT40. The GT40, or is it now just called the GT? I always forget
It
if
is just the
okay, I
GT.
always
Once
forget.
it once it got re-released in the earlier 2000s, it was the Ford GT, and then of course the newest one that got released is also the Ford.
Right.
Technically, there people are not considering the Ford GT being the Ford GT40. So they say there's only been two generations of the Ford
What?
GT, and
Get
I'm
the
sitting there.
fuck
I'm like,
out. It's the
no,
same
this is the
car.
third. This
It's
is
the
the third
same
gen
car. Go to
of the
hell.
Ford GT. It just doesn't have the 40 in there, bitch.
Right? Get the
No,
fuck out of here.
yeah.
Anyway, people love that shit. So I really like. I saw so many people. Some a dude that we've met, on the in the car scene,
Yeah, yeah.
commented. And he said it is hideous. I was
Hideous.
like, hideous, bro.
I didn't understand that. Hideous
That's
doesn't make sense
like
to me.
it's not a Juke. The Juke is hideous. I fucking hate that car. Hate that
Dude,
thing
the
so
new
much.
Civics, what Honda's doing with those front ends, even the Accords, like that's ugly.
I just,
I wouldn't
dude,
say hideous, but that's
it
ugly.
no, yeah, this is so much better in every way
In every aspect.
than
Now there are some people that are overall liking the look, but they're complaining about the rectangular front grille. But in my eyes, what that shows me, that rectangular grille is so big that I'm actually okay with it because that means it's going to get airflow for that turbocharger
yeah, it's
setup.
gonna have mad airflow.
So if it has good airflow, then we don't have to worry about overheating issues, and that's a big important thing for me.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
worst thing a company can do is
It
release a new
it
car
it
and have an
also
overheating
it
issue.
also fits in with this. Granted, not my favorite trend, but it is a very popular trend currently for cars, especially high end cars, to have very large grills in the front.
Right.
I don't know if that's done exclusively for the purpose of cooling for many things. Like, I'm not a big fan of the BMWs that have these enormous
That
fucking
doesn't.
grills.
Well, here's the thing. That one
But
just doesn't make sense. BMW went full tilt with a meme that
it's
was
just,
making fun of them.
yeah,
They took the meme and they were like, "Yeah, let's do this. People got the good idea." And it's like, no,
yeah,
the meme was to make fun of your
right.
stupid decisions of making the kidney grills huge. Like now they're
It got
breast
so
grills.
it
They're
got
not
so
kidney
ridiculous.
grills anymore.
But realistically, even looking at so this video that I've got up right now, they've got the Z Proto driving alongside the 70s or 80s model
Hmm.
Z, and it's not the grill is not that ridiculous.
No, no,
It's
not
a
at all.
V6
Not at
twin
all.
turbo engine, which is dope. Um, damn, 19s. They're really nice wheels. Like actually,
Yeah, I'm
the
actually
whole
honest to
look is
God.
just really
Normally,
out the box. The whole look is just top
yeah,
notch.
yeah, out the box,
Very
like
rarely am I like, oh, just out the box. This is like it.
no
I don't want to
joke.
put new wheels on it.
Out
I
of
don't
the
want to do cut.
box, there's not much. If they said when they did the live stream, they said this car does, even though it's called a Proto Z, it's 90% complete. Like what you're seeing, 90% of this is going to be
Yeah,
what comes out.
it's not like what the super concept was, and we got something that
Right,
was like
right. This
a
is
fat
90% complete. So
86.
there's might be 10% of adjustment on what will happen to this car, but pretty much this is what we're getting. So knowing that, I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, there's not really a lot I would do to this car as a modifier. I'd definitely do an exhaust because it sounds quiet in the clip that they provided of
Right,
the exhaust note. It sounds super quiet. So, I mean, but that's the beauty of aftermarket. I'll just put an exhaust on it.
right.
Um, and then I might do slight body modifications with like a little bit of more of an aero setup. And I'm a big fan of vented hood, so I do a carbon fiber vented hood. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, I'm
I would
actually
put a spoiler on it personally,
yes,
but
yes,
that's just
yes. It
because I like
definitely would. I
spoilers.
definitely, yeah, yeah. I definitely would get some kind of spoiler. I keep looking at the body line just to see what would work with this body style, but yeah, I definitely also would put. But like,
I would go
if these wheels
gross, and
are
I would follow
available
that line
for
up.
this car, I 100% would
Right.
buy these. Keep these wheels on the car. If these wheels are the ones that come on the car, I'd 100% just keep these
Yeah,
wheels because it's literally a
they're
perfect
fresh.
fit.
I love them. I love them. Like the
Um,
interior is dope. I love they took this detail and they've got these oval LEDs for the tail lights. They've got this the headlights that have this
well,
ridiculous.
what's dope about the taillights is they're 300ZX.
They look
They
like they look like the
Yeah, but it's
300ZX,
modern.
but they're modern because they're LED. They've got the oval LEDs, so they have the literal best of both worlds. It is probably, in my opinion, the best fusion of the previous models and
Yeah. Well,
modern
that's
styling and modern technology.
exactly. I think that's the beauty of this thing is there's generations in one car. So the front has the early 60s stuff, 60, 70 stuff from the 240Z, 260Z and all that. The roof line is from the new 370Z and the rear end is from the 300ZX. Like you literally have the entire vast of what they've released in the 300s or
It's
in the
like if you
Z's.
look at, depending on which angle you look at, it gives you a different feeling emotionally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
100%.
interesting from a designer perspective. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
look at the front, like looking at just like the hood front area, I was like smooth, like it feels like S2000y, like little quick. But then you look at like the whole thing, it feels like a big fucking car. Feels
yeah,
like you
yeah.
could
It does.
like smack some people around on a track. You know,
Yeah.
like it feels kind of both at the same time, like small, nimble, and powerful, but at the same time, like fucking, it feels like a monster.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think they nailed it. From a creator's point of view, from a lover of cars and modifying them, I think they nailed it. Like, here's the other thing I love, which I will always give companies shit. I don't care who you are as a company. I will give you shit if you think this is the only option you have. They are a company. This company right here, Nissan, who's had financial troubles, was able to one release this. So any company that says, "Oh, we have to release it for this price," Toyota, um, I call bullshit, because this company was literally in trouble financially due to their corrupt CEO that got literally that literally had to escape the country because they were coming after his ass because he
Right.
fucked the company so bad. Um, they released this car. They're releasing this car. They're doing it themselves. And on top of that, they're not involving other companies to help them. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm right, this car is going to be starting out in the 30s. As you can see there, the
The
70 right now, the base model is in 30 grand.
yeah,
I think this car, with the fact that the interior is a little newer with the tech stuff and it's got a twin turbo engine, I think we're going to see this car
35.
be a base price of 34, 35 grand.
Right.
And the big reason for that is, yes, they are using the chassis from the 370Z, but who the fuck cares? If that saves money and gets us a newer version of
Wait,
the car,
you're telling me this is the same chassis?
it's the same they're using the chassis of the 370Z to release
I
this
was
car. Yeah.
literally about to say it looks like it's a little bit longer. Just looking at the side profile,
It is. I think it is for sure a little bit longer
like the
with the
wheelbase is
way the rear
longer.
end, but it is the chassis. The overall chassis they're using is from the 370Z. Now, if they're smart, the
Interesting.
370Z had one of the best manual transmissions ever. Like literally, like strength wise,
Right.
everybody uses it in swaps and stuff like that. So they already had this transmission. They didn't have to reinvent the transmission. If they're using the same transmission, they're already saving
Six
money on that.
six speed
Because
close rotation or close rotation? I don't
yeah, yeah, close ratio or whatever
close
you want to call
rotation. Close ration. That's yeah, don't know. That's never heard that term before.
it.
Uh manual transit. Okay.
Yeah, so if they're using that 6 speed, they saved money there. They saved money on how to do the chassis, which means easily they're bringing us a badass new car in the 30s. And you got Toyota coming out here making a BMW, and they're bringing us a car in 50s. And Toyota said if we made the car, it would have been 100 grand. I'm like, what are you talking about? You have Lexus performance brakes, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel there. You could just take those off of a
I
Lexus and put them
honestly,
on your
I
Supra.
legit. Okay, bro. Can we just be real for a second? When they said Supra, I was like, "Oh, okay. They're gonna take the
Yeah,
LC."
BMW Supra. That's what I say all the time
No, no,
because it
no.
is.
Oh, somebody's commenting. I didn't even
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
Uncle Peter.
What up,
Uncle
Uncle
Peter,
Peter?
you're
I didn't
100%
see
right.
that.
It is the BMW Supra. Why? Because literally every component on that car is from BMW. Even the body panels from that car are BMW stamped. There's a guy that's rebuilding the crashed one, and he got the panels, and on them it says BMW. It is all BMW. And like I said in my video that you watched, I think what Toyota did was, hey, everybody keeps hassling us about a new Supra. Let's give them a Supra, but
Dude,
how
dude,
do we make little money doing no work versus making little
can
money
I tell you how they could have done that and still kept their shit all Toyota? Which is
100%? They could have.
which is what I thought was gonna happen when they said a new Supra was coming. I was like, oh, they're gonna take the LC 500, redo the body, like angle it up a little more, make it a
Right,
little more
right, right.
aggressive, and
Right.
it's gonna be the Supra.
Well, I knew they were going to do the FT1 concept
Right,
body, right? I knew that. So I was like, okay, so they're going to take that and make it make sense for a budget sports car, right?
right.
So, okay, cool. If they use the interior, they're probably going to use it from like a Camry or something, which, whatever, I don't give a shit. I don't mind the new Camry interior. So, like, I don't have a problem with that. They're just going to use maybe performance seats from a Lexus and then brakes
They
from a
have
Lexus.
performance vehicles. It doesn't make sense why they did it. So
And
to that
so
end, to that end,
But here's what I will say. That interior right there, any manufacturer, I'm giving you shit, all manufacturers out there, who puts a screen on top of the dash instead of like that, you're a fucking asshole because there you go. Nissan just did it for you. They put the stereo where it needs to be. Not to block my view on a freaking windshield, but in the actual dashboard itself towards the bottom near the
What you mean?
shifter. Thank you, Nissan, for showing the
Hold
industry
on.
that you can still do
What do
that.
you mean exactly? Like who's putting up a large, like, besides what's there, like the tack and the size of the tack?
I mean, you saw the new Supra. It literally sticks up top. You were at the auto show. It's literally it's like a pop-up. See?
Oh, you mean above? It's above the center.
Yeah, it's above the center. It shouldn't. There's
Oh,
no
that
reason why we
is. I
have that.
completely forgot about that. That is
I don't
silly.
understand. BMW does that. Audi does that. I don't understand why we have that. Thank you,
That is
Nissan, for showing these
silly.
companies that you don't need to do that.
You're right.
Good job, Nissan.
There's quite a few manufacturers that do that. I forgot about that entirely. I
Yeah.
blocked it out of my memory.
Thank you,
Uh,
Nissan, for giving us a new tech interior, but not making it over the top where it needs to look weird.
right.
Good job, Nissan.
So
Huge props.
to take this subject where I originally wanted to take it, they didn't have to do this.
No, they didn't.
The possibility. Now, of course, we don't know anything, but the possibility.
But to answer your question, just a real quick answer, I think they did it because they have very passionate people about making performance cars.
For sure. We have the possibility, the guessing that it's going to be somewhere in the range of mid-30s.
I think so. I think if they're
That's
reusing the transmission and they are
that would
using
be
the
the smart
370C
move.
chassis, I think absolutely to compete
because you're
with
not
what's out
breaking into
there.
a new market.
Correct.
You are attacking the same market that your
Same
performance
market.
vehicle is already in.
Correct.
So
Correct. And which would make sense is originally the 240Z was released to give you a cheap option to beat expensive cars.
right, 100%.
Cool. So you release this option for people that are maybe in our situation where they don't want to buy a $40,000-$50,000 sports car.
Right.
You make it in the 30s. Now you're competing against a Toyota Supra that's 50 grand from BMW, a C6 Corvette that's 60 grand, or I'm sorry, C8. So now you got another sports car that's an option that can definitely compete with the Supra, possibly compete with the new C8 Corvette for way less money, which is literally the whole point of the Z chassis. So
Right. So if they're going to come out in the mid-30s, that's a smart move.
100% smart move.
There's not a lot of other companies producing new cars this year. Like, since COVID, since COVID.
Right. Since COVID, I mean, sucks for Chevy, but, they're the ones that really released a car that was bang for your buck, performance-wise. Obviously, the Supra being 50 grand, which is absurd, but, yeah. So those are the really, and
Right.
the Supra was technically a 2019 car.
Right. And of course, you've got everybody's,
Yeah.
best new innovation,
Right,
the newest
right, of
Altima,
course.
the newest
Yeah,
Focus,
yeah,
all
yeah.
the basic stuff.
Sports cars wise, there's
Yeah.
not really
Yeah,
anybody.
no, but right. So that's kind of where I want to keep it as far as like performance stuff.
Right.
To pivot to the tech side of things, people coming out with new stuff. You have Samsung came out with some very expensive phones this year. Very expensive phones.
Yeah. Super expensive.
I think the base model the top end S20 Ultra is $1,400.
Jesus Christ.
The Note 20 I think is also $1,400 Ultra. It's become kind of a ridiculous thing. However, with the supposed Apple announcement coming up soon and the maybe even today Google announcement, it's actually nobody fucking knows when this is happening, but a Pixel 5 announcement is happening at some point. Nobody was talking to you.
But you did say Google.
I
did say Google.
but not hey. What the fuck? Well. Like, I know what announcement means. Thanks. They're talking about the rumors. The rumors in the rumor mill are that the Pixel 5, because it is not rocking like a flagship processor, they are going to bring it down in price
Good.
People are guessing that Google doesn't want to fight in that flagship range anymore. They want to go back to the mid tier in the
They should.
600 700 range.
They should.
Yeah, I agree.
And they
However,
should make it 500 or 600 and not go any higher.
and yeah, and so they've got that, and supposedly the larger model is going to be the Pixel 4a 5G model.
You mean
Which
5A?
no, I'm sorry, Pixel 4 XL 5G.
So why are they releasing a Pixel 4
It's
XL if they're
5G.
gonna be? But why are they releasing it under the 4 if they're releasing a 5?
Listen, if I could answer that question, I would know. What I think it is to keep the price down, because if you're releasing older specs, which will essentially probably be the 4A specs in
Which I
a
mean,
larger body.
but let's be real. I mean, like older specs is, it's still modern specs.
Yeah, but not in tech. You know that. You know that it's not. Like if Apple was to come out with their new iPhone and said it has what was last year's, the A13, people would be like, what do you mean? It's not. That's an old processor.
No, 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 no. I mean, I know the stupidity behind. I'm talking about like actual performance-wise, it's legitimately
Yeah,
like still modern
we are
tech. Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
in
yeah. I'm
the
not talking about stupid notions about what modern tech is. I'm talking about
right.
actual performance. Yeah,
Right. We
I'm not
are
talking about incremental raises that do nothing.
right. We are exactly. We are in that incremental era. And I was actually talking to my wife because she's very much like she uses the shit out of her phone. She needs power. And I
Right.
was like, I kind of want to just get her the fucking Samsung cuz she doesn't care about updates. In fact, she likes shit staying the same. She doesn't like the Android 11 just updated on her Pixel, and she doesn't like some of the changes.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, if she was to just get, the top of the line, like we spend $1,400 on a cell phone for her, and we say, hey, you have the top phone, because I do like having the updates. So like I kind of need, not I want to say I need a Pixel, but like I want a Pixel. But at the same time, I also want to just like explore shit, because we've gotten to a point in operating system where there's not a lot of stuff going on anymore. Like the new updates to 11 from Android 10, what's up, Abby? The new Android updates are kind of like
Lurk away. I'm okay
yeah,
with
for
it.
sure. Lurk, of course, always lurk.
Lurk all you want.
But I was thinking of all things, and I because they're saying it might be under $1,000.
Hmm.
I was thinking the LG, I think they're calling it the Wing, LG Wing.
Mm-hmm.
It is LG Wing. Yeah, it is this ridiculous thing. It flips sideways. It's like two screens stacked on top of each other, and then it
What the F?
slides outside. It's ridiculous.
It's too much.
But
It's
I'm
too
like,
much.
I kind of want it.
Nah.
Because it was this, or it was going to be what's it called? The Microsoft Duo, the Surface
We're
Duo.
speaking about tech. I want to point out real quick. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, is my
This
beautiful
guy.
Motorola One Action. I picked this up for $130. It was $150, but then I had a $20 credit from Best Buy. $130. This particular unit right here has all the beautiful, modern tech with fingerprint reader, face detection, and expandable storage, which most companies don't do. And on
Not
top of that,
sponsored. God damn it.
and
Not sponsored.
on top of that, it's getting Android 11. Granted, it's getting in quarter two of 2021, but I'm getting it. So
My point is,
and just to say, it's $120, not $1,000 that doesn't get updates. Just saying, just point it, just put,
listen.
just gonna.
So my point where I'm going with this is that I kind of want to explore some of this weird shit. Like I want I was looking at the Duo, the Surface Duo, $1,400
Right.
but like it's so interesting with the 360 hinge, and it's so very interesting. that I'm like, I really kind of want the damn thing. Like,
Uh, let's do this. Let's do this. I think this is going to be smart, right? You ready? You
mhm.
ready? Let's just jump on the Razor wagon, dude. Let's get the 5G Razor
It's too
and
small.
just
It's too small
and
for me.
just let's just go back to the Razor
It's
era
too
where
small
everybody
for me.
wanted one, everybody had one, and everybody understands why you had one because it's the Razor.
2020 Razor. It is. It like I get it, but like I actually I'm one of the people that never liked the Razor. I sold them because I worked at a Radio Shack at the time. I
Sir,
sold the shit out of them because people loved them, but I never liked it.
I did have the Razor.
I never liked it.
I did have the
So
Razor.
the whole point that I wanted to go down with this line of conversation is that it's interesting to me what people are like, what companies are trying to do to kind of stay in business, like to
Yeah,
keep money incoming and to keep relevant, because that's like the last thing you can the worst thing you can do is not stay relevant, because especially
100%.
in tech, like if Google didn't put out a Pixel this year and like no Pixels,
Here's
next
here's
year
what's here's
it's an
what
uphill climb.
here's what's stupid to me, man. What's stupid to me is that people accept these stupid incremental devices that come out every year, and they accept it as a new device and pay another $1,400 to get a new device. Where in
That's
all
why I waited
reality,
2.5 years.
where in all reality, their device from last year is just as good, and they don't have to spend another, but they want to because it's the new. It's like you as a consumer are literally telling these customers to keep doing this shit, even though they're not releasing great products. They're releasing good products just as good as the year before,
Right.
literally, but it's not great. It's not a new
we
release in the sense of
we've
like,
talked
oh
about
my
this.
god, something amazing.
Yeah, we've talked about
Like
this many times. I don't
like Apple
believe in an
Apple
annual release.
here's the thing. Apple's a great example, right? Before the newest iPhone 11 Pro that had the three cameras, before that, they were just Apple releases. They were incremental and there was no real change. There wasn't.
And then they were like, boom, three
But then,
cameras.
but then iPhone 11 Pro comes out and they're like, three cameras, look at this badass quality. And that was the real change. So probably you just got an actual real change on an iPhone since maybe iPhone 7 Plus, like
6S.
in 6S. So
6S.
that's
Because the
so
6
that's
body was the
probably
same.
in all
The 6,
reality.
7, and
Now, if
8
you
were all the
think
same body.
about it, all those iPhones you kept getting every year, the actual change you got was not until now.
Yeah,
So
I mean, the
it took
performance gets a little better. It's all little stuff. That's the thing is, it's this consumerist market that we're this consumerist religion almost, like they like enforce this. You got to have the latest and greatest thing, and it's,
right.
I'm not part of that, thankfully. You know, I made a whole video, I think end of last year, about my Pixel 2 XL from 2017. I mean, like,
Something
you
like
know,
that. Yeah.
it's three models behind. And the only reason I
Yeah.
had this, the only reason I got this is because my first Pixel stopped using GPS. The GPS broke. Literally the
Right.
only reason I got
Right.
this
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the only reason.
Like,
Because
I wouldn't have even
and
had this phone because my
and to be
Pixel 1 was
fair,
fine.
one, it stopped. The GPS stopped working, and two, Google's customer service sucks dick. Let's put it out there. Let's put it
It
out there.
it wasn't my favorite experience. Let's put it
It
there.
was not. That's right.
It
Listen,
wasn't my
it's no Nokia or Microsoft experience, but it
right.
is. It was not a good experience. It
Right.
was not a good.
I'm just saying. I think it's interesting what people are doing to like maintain relevancy and to pivot out of that brilliantly. We're going to talk about the Apple Watch and two things in Apple Watch that I think Apple has done to really kind of play to both sides of this dumbass argument. Right? You have the people who are like, COVID's been, there's no denying COVID's been ridiculous and it's affected people
On many levels.
just, yeah, we're not even discussing that. I
Yeah.
just want to talk about the fact that when they were, because I remember when they announced WatchOS 7 in March or June or whatever the hell they did it, they were like, it's going to have a thing that tells you how long to wash your hands. Because that was part of the whole thing, washing your hands. So they were like staying relevant by playing on people's fears and their emotionality about the situation. So they have this
Yeah.
whole thing about how it tells you that wash your hands, it counts down, etc. And then they announced the new watches a couple weeks ago, and they're like, "Oh, it'll read your blood oxygen level." Because that goes to the other side of the people who
Uh,
are like, masks ruin your
no,
oxygen and all
dude.
that shit. It's like a subtle jab at anybody that said, like, it's hard to breathe in masks and shit. And I'm like, why is this? I'm like, this is not a thing. Now, granted, there are people with legitimate medical conditions that require monitoring, regular monitoring of their blood O2 levels. Like,
Sure.
no questions.
Sure, absolutely.
But like, they didn't just show up this year. They've been around. This is the sixth phone or sixth watch. Like,
Yeah.
they could have thought of
Yeah.
this sooner. But
Yeah.
this year, because people are arguing about blood oxygen levels and how much carbon dioxide, whatever the fuck other arguments that people are making, they're like, oh, we're gonna take a little subtle jab at them by producing this thing that if you wear it, it tells you to shut the fuck up.
Right.
That your mask
Yeah.
is not making
Yeah.
you fucking
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. It's yeah, that's a
I
whole
was like, I
I
saw it and I was like, really? They just
we've
went
had
with
we've
it.
had COVID conversations, I think. I can't imagine that we haven't talked about actual COVID and the ridiculousness of everybody during this time. I can't
It's
imagine we
it's
haven't.
it's dude, we've probably had 20 podcasts since then. It's been
I'm
almost a whole
saying,
year.
I'm saying, I cannot
It's
imagine
we've
that we
talked
actually
about
didn't
all of it,
talk
man.
about it. Yeah.
It's insanity. It's insanity. So like, I
Yeah.
just thought it was funny as shit when they announced the new Apple Watch 6 and they were like, "Oh, it's going to have this thing." And I'm like, "Oh my god, they're just like, it's a subtle way cuz a lot of people who are, how to phrase this? A lot of wealthy people are the people who are making these dumbass arguments. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
privileged people, usually white. And those are the types of people that typically buy iPhones because iPhones are the best.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have Apple Watches. So now they'll have this feature and they'll be like, look. Oh, it says 98%. Fuck, I can't make this argument anymore.
Yeah, right.
It
Exactly.
says I'm fucking fine and I need to shut the fuck up. That's what it says. All right, well, fair
Yeah.
enough, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick because it was just like the most
Here's the thing.
ridiculous
Here's the thing. Please take anytime a company releases a device that can sense these certain things, those sensors are not 100%. Shit,
Hell,
they'd be lucky if they're 90%.
dude. I mean,
Uh,
I've got a heart rate sensor on me right now. It says 86 because I'm animated here, but like, it's not accurate. I've tested it with an actual heart rate sensor, and it's like 5 to 10 off depending on
yeah,
your temperature
it's
and all this other shit.
Also, as well, when you're setting up this kind of technology with even more bloated software that it does more than just sense this stuff,
Yeah.
it's not going to work great or perfectly, or there is going to be hiccups. Even if it does work pretty good, at some point, it's not going to work pretty good because there's going to be software hiccups. So
Oh no, Hodges, don't you know that
take it with a grain of salt.
computers?
Like, don't be losing your mind because the shit's not reading accurately. Of course, it's not reading accurately. You're using a device that has 1,000 features versus a device that just does that. So
No, Hodges, don't you know that a computer and a cell phone and a watch should work as perfectly as they did on day one?
yeah,
At day
cars
1000.
too.
Yeah,
Cars
cars.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
yeah, for
that they should
sure.
be as good as they
Yeah.
were with them the day you bought them.
As good, dude. My 78,000 mile Honda Accord from 2014 should be perfect, like it was brand new when
Yep,
I bought it in
yep,
2014.
yep. There are no wear and tear. There's no wear and tear. Uh, so the final subject, real quick, I want to talk about is time travel. Now, the reason I want to talk about this, because we've discussed time travel in various fashions throughout our years, and the one I wanted to talk about today is what is called the grandfather paradox. And the idea is that if you go back in time, you kill your own grandfather, you will never have existed, so you would never have gone back to kill your own grandfather. Infinite loop. Because then you never go back and kill him, and then you exist, and then you go back and kill him. And
Right, so
it's an infinite
you
loop.
can't
Right.
actually do what you want, what
So
you're
the
thinking of
idea
doing.
is that you can't go back in time and change things. because then it just destroys anything future, and then you would have no reason to go back.
Hmm.
So let's say if you go back, you kill Hitler. Hitler never existed. There was no Holocaust, so there was no reason for you to go back and kill Hitler.
Right.
So then you never kill Hitler, etc. Some kid, I say kid, some student in Australia, along with his teacher or somebody, came up with some I have not done the like looking into this mathematics about it, but he did some research and came up with some sort of mathematical proof that basically says that you're going to go back and it will just work itself out if you change shit. Basically, he was saying that if you go back, and they use COVID as an example. So he said if you go back and you prevent patient 0 from ever catching COVID, then you would be patient 0, or someone else would be patient 0. Effectively, the universe would just like reshuffle so that it still all happens. So that it's like, if you go back and kill Hitler, somebody else becomes Hitler.
Yep, that
and
makes sense.
I'm like, well, that's like super depressing, because that just means like this shit was always going to happen. There is no way to change motherfuckers. Yeah. If somebody was gonna be, modern Hitler, somebody, doesn't matter who it is, somebody's gonna be modern Hitler.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, damn, that's kind of sad. That's why I don't like the persistent.
Listen,
concept.
it is depressing, but just look in perfect example. Even if you, let's say, take time travel out of the conversation, and you just look at history,
right?
We've literally have history to show us what not to do, and we keep doing it. We repeat the same shit.
That, of course.
We repeat the same fucking stupid mentality or the way we do things, even though there's been plenty of history and learning to show that we shouldn't.
Right.
But we still do it.
Very true.
I mean, shit, we have history telling us that a pandemic is a thing and it will kill a lot of people.
It will kill.
But we still don't give a fuck in 2020. We still don't give a fuck in 2020. Even though we've had literally the Spanish flu killed more people than the war that it was
20 to 50 million people globally.
Yeah, even though we had that back in the day, right now in 2020,
by the way, not like back before the existence of telephones, not back before the existence of cars.
Right.
No. This was during World War I.
Right.
This was not that long ago.
So it's just it's funny that, so like what he's saying just makes sense, because at the end of the day we do it anyways. At the end of the day
that's a fair
point.
We
do stupid shit regardless. I mean, shit, it's 2020 and we still have neo-Nazis. We have KKK.
Yeah, let's just real briefly, let's talk about that, because how is this a thing? In Germany, which is where Nazis came from, that shit is illegal. It is illegal to display swastika, any sort of Nazi like signature, signs, anything like that. Illegal.
As it should be, because it's sign of murder.
Thank you. In this country, we let them motherfuckers march, and we
fly,
and we even give them police protection during their marches.
Because freedom of speech.
Because freedom of speech, of course. Yes.
Because they're gonna throw the Constitution at your face.
Because freedom of speech. And why do we allow hate speech to be free speech?
I mean, listen, man.
Because I think there are certain things we can agree on, and I think claiming that your race, and I'm going to put it in quotes because
we've discussed this plenty of times.
One race, we've talked about this.
Yeah, just because some dickhead from what?
Just because some dickhead white guy decided that the way to
there's three races.
Five, I think he came up with.
Five? Yeah, fuck that guy. No, there's one race. and then there's ethnicities. So let's
the
go ahead and
the fact that we're like this, as soon as you start talking about supremacy, you're no longer free speech. You're planning on fucking somebody up,
yeah.
one way or another. One way or
Yeah,
another.
no,
Whether what?
Hitler had a great idea of supremacy. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Anybody else that wasn't, fuck
By the
yourself.
way, did irony not exist in 1920s, 1930s?
It's
Because he did
funny.
not
I don't
have
think I
neither
know
blonde
he didn't
hair
have
nor blue
neither.
eyes.
Yeah, 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 neither. And
So
then
like,
he's
how the
still
fuck did he like? How was 2 million whatever fucking people following him who had blonde hair, blue eyes? They're like, yeah, he's right. Blonde hair, blue eyes are supreme. And nobody was like,
yeah.
but he doesn't. Like, not one person.
Well, it's because he understood that he was not supreme. That's why.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's because he's smart enough to
Yeah,
understand that he's
yeah.
not supreme. Yeah, yeah.
Fucking dumb. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I truly don't understand. I don't understand how we live in a world where here's the thing: freedom of speech is a very fickle subject, right? Those people who hate, they have the right to do so, right? They are humans; they can do
Sure.
what they please. But there's a difference between spewing hate and using that however you want, and throwing up a sign that was part of murder. uh the KKK, for instance. The KKK literally murdered people.
They
Like
still do.
there's like they till this day they murder people. How is it possible to allow a clan to exist
Oh no, no,
knowing
Hades, no, don't you know?
knowing that the
It was
shit
it
is
was
happening, has happened, like
it was a slew of similarly styled suicides. That's what happened. No, that's literally what police said recently.
oh
I think
oh
it was. I feel like it was in June.
oh
Right out, right.
all those
Yeah,
poor
it was
fucking
people in different parts of the country
yeah,
that
all those poor
committed
black people that
suicide,
were
that
that were
hanged themselves
no,
on
because
in
they
front
were
of police
harassed
stations and
so
shit.
much they couldn't handle, and they
Yeah,
hung
yeah, that must have
themselves
been
because
what it was.
they were so depressed. and
It's
and
it's
yeah,
disgusting, and I don't
yeah, and
understand why we
the
still
clan just
fucking.
happens to be there as this happened. They were like, yeah, man, we're just gonna let you do this. We're gonna
It's
we
it's
understand, man. You just can't
it's
handle it. We're just gonna let you hang yourself while we watch.
it's real fucking
Yeah,
dumb.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's I just don't. I listen. I get it. Like I said, it's a fine line between controlling freedom of speech,
right.
but certain things are facts, right? So neo Nazis, they fucking wave around the fucking Nazi symbol. You that symbol is tied with death, murder. That should not be allowed. Period. That should be not allowed to be uh on Earth. Like that should be only remembered as evil and nothing else, and it shouldn't be allowed to be just thrown around. Uh, and if you say that that's your thing, if you say you're part of that, that means you're saying you're part of murder. You're part of fucking getting rid of people due to what they are,
Yeah,
and that also shouldn't be allowed. That's not a freedom of speech. You are literally saying that at one point in your life, you're willing to do whatever it is to get rid of somebody for how they look or what they believe.
yeah,
That's what you're saying. When you do that shit, that's beyond freedom of speech. That is, you are already telling the police, telling the law that yes, at some point, I am letting you know I will commit murder. And at that
yeah.
point, I've said
You're
that I've said
advertising your intentions exactly,
yeah, and
and that's
I've
to
said
me.
this.
We've talked a little bit in terms of the idea of pre-crime basically,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, for sure,
where if you
100%. I
think
mean, I
somebody's going to do some shit, because we talked
yeah,
about what they call them, red flag laws, and that
pre pre
that typically, what's ironic is the red flag laws get it gets complicated because motherfuckers could get in trouble for saying some shit, and somebody kicks
yeah,
in your door, your dog rushes the intruder, and the police shoot your dog, and now
right,
your
right,
neighbor who's an
right,
asshole who just wanted you to not park on his lawn got your dog killed
right,
because, oh, you have
and
guns. So that's a red
yeah,
flag
yeah,
law, and
yeah,
that's like saying, oh, he has guns, he might do something.
yeah, yeah,
And to me, that's like the worst case scenario. But at the same time, like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm over here waving Nazi shit, and I believe that I'm superior, and I believe that whatever the fuck they're saying these days," and how is that not a signal? Like maybe we need to watch this motherfucker.
I mean, listen,
Maybe we
man.
just have somebody on him just in
Listen, the
case.
reason the reason the reason the cop couldn't get murder one for George Floyd's murder is because he didn't. We couldn't prove that it was premeditated murder, right? We couldn't, like, he
Right,
didn't think
right.
about killing George Floyd, right?
Beforehand.
So we can't give
Right.
him we can't give him murder one. Okay, but when you're fucking waving around fucking the swastika or the KKK sign, that tells me you are at some point thinking
Right.
about killing somebody that is black
100%.
or that is Jewish, or like you are already telling me that at some point this might happen because this is what I'm part of.
Yep.
Because that's what I see when you're part of that. That's what you're part of. Like that's what
It's
that
ironic. It's
represents.
ironic that we're talking about Nazis and I had fucking a German dude on screen.
Right, right. But that's what that says. That's what that shows. That's what that was. That's what that is part of. So at the end of the day, that's what you're saying.
Right.
Sorry, that's not a freedom of speech
I
issue.
don't.
That's
Yeah.
a issue
I
of
don't
like
believe in the
somebody's
freedom
going
to
to
be
kill
a.
somebody.
I don't believe in the freedom to be part of a hate group.
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah, man. But I mean, you listen. Everybody, there's always going to be people out there. We're never going to get rid of hate. I've always said this. Until there is freedom. Uh, until there is freedom of speech, freedom of to be a human being. There's always going to be somebody that's going to hate, right? We can't get rid of that because that's going to be part of life.
Right.
Yes, some people will argue, oh, hate is taught, not born. I disagree. I think it's both. I think some people are taught hate and some people are just born with having hate, just part of their
Yeah, there
being.
are evil people.
um,
There's no question
there
about
are
it. There
just
are
evil
evil
people, yeah,
people in the world.
100%. Yeah,
Like
so
you see some people they just are beyond anything.
yeah,
Like
100%, 100%.
they just don't
So
get it.
knowing that those people are going to exist, they have the right to spew whatever they want because that's part of being a human. You can do that. You can. That's your thing. You can do that. We might not agree with it. We might be completely against it, but I can't be against them being able to do what they want. But however, I can be against you showing off a sign that means death,
Yeah.
because that's what those are. Those the Nazi symbol, the fucking KKK. There has been history showing they are murderers. So if
100%.
that's what you that's what
100%.
you if that's what you are going to align yourself with, that tells me you are aligning yourself with being a murderer. And you've already then taken away your freedom. I'm just waiting for you to now allow me to do what I need to do to take you away. Now the unfortunate thing is the way the laws are set, we need to wait till they murder somebody for us to be able to then do
And
something to them.
that's why I think we need to have some sort of
Because you know my stance
tailing thing.
on
Because like
you know my stance on taking life, right? I believe in the death penalty if you've 100% understand that you're going in and you're about to kill somebody and you're willing to do that. I'm not talking about accidental murder. I'm not talking about like I got in a car accident and I killed somebody.
right,
That fucking sucked.
right,
I'm talking about somebody that has a weapon. They're like, I'm gonna go kill this motherfucker,
right.
right? That's what I'm talking about. Or I'm gonna go and rape this person.
Yep.
Like, at
100%.
the end of the day, you are taking that person's life in your hands. The minute you do that is the minute your life is now in our hands. And I
Yeah.
say adios. I don't need you in this fucking society. I don't need you in the human race
I'm with you. I am
pollution
a fan. I am a
population
fan of.
because
I'm gonna call it postnatal eugenics. We get to eliminate anybody that doesn't fit with our society. Sorry.
I
Peace
mean,
out. You're trying to
it's
kill
not fitting
people.
with
You're trying to
society.
kill
Yeah.
people. You're trying to
Now
rape
there's a
people.
Right.
Deuces.
Now, there's a difference if somebody, now, once again, this all applies differently. If somebody's coming after you and you protect yourself and you end up killing that person,
That's a different situation.
that's a different situation. That's not murder. That's you were fucking defending yourself and it turned into you having to take their life. That's a different situation than somebody going in going after that person to do that to them, and they
Right.
protected themselves.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
there is
To me, to
understanding the
me, to
difference
me,
between wanting to kill somebody and protecting yourself or
we've talked
something
about
on
this before.
accident.
We talked about this before. You said it with your niece. I said it with my wife. It was a situation. If somebody was to do something to my wife, she was watching an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and there was a woman who got raped, and she was like, you can't tell him. And she asked me, Erica asked me, she's like, what would you do? I was
I kill
like,
them.
I would go away for a weekend, me and the boys, and then we would come back.
I'd kill them. I'm
Whatever,
telling you right now, I
whatever.
would.
I'm like,
Now, if you
whatever.
can prove that, now if you can prove that I did it, or you
Right.
can't, that's going to
If
be
you
up
can find
to
him,
whatever evidence is there.
if you can find him
But
to charge me with something, go for it. But you won't.
right,
Like, he
and
won't
if I'm,
exist no more.
and are you going to sit me down and be like, listen, you've been on record saying you'd kill somebody if
Mm-hmm.
they did this to her. Did you do it? I'm be like, do you have evidence that I did it? No, then I guess I didn't do it.
Done and done.
So
Yeah. No,
because
it
because that's when you
that's
choose to do something like that, you have taken your life, you've given your life to other people's hands. They get to choose what happens to you.
yeah.
That's it. That's as simple as that is. The minute you chose to do something horrible like that, because both are taking people's lives away. One, they no longer breathe, and the other, they can no longer be fucking
Safe.
normal. They
They can never be safe.
yeah, they'll never feel fucking safety. So you've taken away their life.
Right.
Now I
It's
get to choose what I do with your life.
yeah, and
Simple as that.
that stems out of these motherfuckers who are waving around Nazi paraphernalia and shit like that. And
And don't get me wrong, I'm not about violence. I hate wars. I hate fucking. But when you do something as
well,
heinous as
yeah,
that, where you chose to take away somebody's fucking capability to live,
right.
you've already decided your own fate. Who then takes your life into their hands? That's gonna happen at that point. But you've already decided your fate. So
Yeah.
simple as that.
Right. So at the end of the day, don't kill people, don't rape people. That's our
I'm
lesson
saying
for
just be a
today.
fucking
That's
decent.
our lesson for
There's
today.
there's an understanding what's a good human being and what's not. Don't be a fucking dumbass.
Right. Real facts. Real big facts.
Somebody will argue though, but some people are just mentally fucked up, and I'm like, okay, well, if they're mentally fucked up and people in their life didn't realize they're mentally fucked up, then clearly they're not mentally fucked up in the sense where they can't figure out that they're doing something wrong and they
Yeah,
have to
because I'll
hide it
tell you
from
right
people.
now, don't tell me he's mentally fucked up. She's mentally fucked up. After you find a slew of bodies in their basement,
Yeah,
because every time that shit's happened, the neighbors, the cousins, the aunties, the mamas are always like, he was the sweetest boy. He would never hurt a fly.
that means he knew what he was doing because
That
he hit
means
it. He or
fully
she hit
aware.
it
Get the
very
fuck
well.
out of here.
Because they hit it very well because they understood what they were doing. People weren't gonna like.
Right.
So,
Right. Exactly.
and
Exactly.
sweetest person in the world. Well, apparently not that sweet.
Right. Yeah.
So,
That's what it is. We're gonna call it here
let's
for
do
this
one
one.
more. Can we do one
Hold
more subject real
on.
quick?
If you get 7 minutes.
7 minutes? Are
Yeah.
you leaving? You gotta go.
I gotta. Yeah. I got some shit I gotta take care of.
All right, just real quick.
All right. What
Just
you
real
got?
quick.
What you got? Hit me.
Listen, guys. Um, me and my guy here, we always talk about voting. We talk about
Oh shit. Okay.
making a difference, making a change. Um, I don't vote. I don't vote now. I'll tell you why I don't vote. I don't vote because of two reasons. One, because I don't see actual change when we do have people that supposedly we want, right? That are our options. And also, as well, I don't vote because for me to accept that I'm making the right vote, I need to do my own research. I don't want somebody telling me what they're about or somebody else telling me what this person's about because that's the information that you have. I want to dig as deep as I can to find out if they truly are the person that I am hearing they are. Just because somebody tells me something doesn't mean like, oh, it's like, well, doesn't reputation mean something? That's not reputation. If I haven't heard of you outside of like when it comes to voting, and now I'm hearing about you, that's not reputation. That just means you're telling people what they want to hear for this voting aspect, not what I know of you. So in my opinion, I don't vote because I personally would need a shit ton of time to research the persons that are going to be, and I just don't have that time to put in. So that's why I don't vote. But that doesn't mean that's a smart thing. That doesn't mean that's a good thing. In all honesty, that's just being a bad person towards society because I'm not taking the time to deeply look and stuff like that. But I will say this: if you think, I get it. I get people love Trump. There are people out there that love Trump. But if you cannot see that this man is wrong as a leader in this country or any country, there's something wrong with you. Look at how the man's handled the pandemic. Look how the man's handled protests. Look how the man's what has he done? What has he done to actually do anything for this country? I get it. I get it. People will be like, "Oh, but he doesn't like illegal immigrants and the wall and shit like that." And I'm like, that's great if you hate, illegal immigrants, but what has he actually done for this country? I want to know what in your eyes looks like he's done something proper. Because he hasn't handled the pandemic correctly. I don't care who you are. If you actually sit down and watch what this guy's done during the pandemic, all he's done is cause confusion between people. He hasn't actually handled a pandemic, in any proper fashion. And as a leader, that's awful. As a leader of a fucking country, that's horrifying. And somebody who doesn't know how to handle people that are hurting, people who are trying to fucking protest to show you, hey, there's something fucking wrong here, and we need you to acknowledge it. We need you, and your reply is to threaten the citizens of the United States of America. Um, that's not the right move either. So all I gotta say is, whoever's watching this, whoever's listening to this, whoever's here on the live stream, you gotta vote, and you gotta vote right. Listen, here's the thing: do I think Biden's the right choice? Almost certainly, he's probably not. But he can't be any worse than this guy. If anything, he's going to be at least better in the situations that I've presented in handling them. He's not going to sit here and try to throw confusion during a pandemic, and he's not, he's going to try to figure out how to resolve protests and riots and all that stuff in a proper manner instead of threatening the U.S. citizens. So at least in those two sakes, I do believe that he'll do a better job. This guy's done nothing but promote. From what I've seen, he's from the countless times he's tweeted, from the countless times out of his own mouth, he's promoted hate, and I can't believe that we as a society, we as human beings, want somebody in charge that promotes hate, that promotes division, uh, that promotes confusion between citizens of his country. So you gotta vote, man. You gotta help put a better person. Not even if they're not the right person, because that, once again, you want the right person. That's a whole different debate. That would take way longer than the 7 minutes that I'm given. Because that you want a right person, that's a whole different story. But you want we need as a country, we need a better person that can handle shit. Especially, I'm not talking about my new shit. I'm not talking about like, oh, what are they going to do with this law? What are they going to do to help, this country feel better or be better? No, no, no. I'm talking about when shit's hitting the fan, like a pandemic or a protest. There needs to be better communication, better handling of situations, and this guy ain't doing that. So, I know I'm being a hypocrite because I admitted that I don't vote, but you gotta like, here's the thing: celebrities won't tell you, even though they're what's the word, they're endorsing Biden. They won't tell you. They won't say he's probably also not a great choice because they can't say that, right? If they're going to endorse by saying he is the better choice, he is the right choice. I'm telling you here, honestly, truthfully, he probably isn't the great choice either, right? But he's definitely better than what we have right now. I mean, shit. I will even say that Bush, which I wasn't a fan of, is a better choice than this fucker is in the fucking office.
I would outright give George W. Bush, a third term
Bro, he was a
over
fucking
over
he was a
having Trump
joke.
in for another.
He was a joke, dude. People threw shoes at him towards the end of his
Get
fucking
out of
years
here.
because he was a joke nationally and worldwide. He
Yep.
was a joke to everybody. And I'd rather have that fucker than what's happening right now with the current fucking leadership that we have. I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd. I
You got
just
it.
cannot believe this is what's that we as citizens of this
We
country
as
have.
Americans.
Yeah, we as of Americans have accepted this as a leader. Like it just does not make any
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
sense.
It is a person in charge, because I don't want to call him a leader because he's far from a leader.
Oh, no. I mean, I guess that's a good way of putting it.
It's a
Yeah,
person in charge who has decided to play to the lowest common denominator. He has played to people who have been harboring these feelings about, oh, you got to look out for number one. All these feelings that they've been harboring that now they get to talk about because the president says it. Why can't I say it? And that's why we're having a lot more. We're having a lot more extremist viewpoints than we ever have in our history,
it's true.
in modern history, and we're having fewer and fewer discussions
It's
because
that's a fact. Like
because it's A or B,
that's a
and
fact
nobody
because
understands that there aren't any fucking letters on the spectrum, and that there's a
well,
lot
that's a
of
fact. I
conversation to
mean,
be
if
had.
let's say we had a bunch of viewers right now, right? Let's say we were huge and we had a giant set of viewers,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them won't always agree, right? But in politic talk, right? It's very harsh. Like you
Yeah,
said, you literally told me last night. You said Democrats and Republicans, those are each a religion now.
they're a
They're no
religion,
longer just
100%,
parties. They're
100%.
they're religion
Yep.
because Democrats are very democratic and they are 100% all about the Democrat system, and Republicans are the same for their
But
end. So
let me
they're
actually
so
also let me
harsh.
actually also clarify on that. They're religions, but the people who are believing in those religions are the worst people who believe in religions. They are the extremists
Yeah,
of those religions
yeah.
because
It's, it's same. It's same.
because
It's
it's not
same
enough to
for
be that thing. You have to
right.
hate the other thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
And
that's the
honestly,
worst kind of
and
religion.
honestly that we've seen that in other religions. We've seen that in other
That's what
religions
religious
where
wars
they're
start
the
on. That's what
extreme.
religious wars. That's all.
And
That's all Palestine and Israel
here's the
is
thing. Here's the thing.
hating
I
the
don't
other.
care. I don't care for politics because I personally, like I said, I feel that if we're gonna have real government change, I've said this before, we need to get rid of everybody and
Yep.
start all over again, and that'll never happen. So that's why I don't care for politics because we'll never have real change. We'll have sprinkles here and there, but we'll never have real change to be honest about
I
it.
I
If you want to get real. But here's the
we'll
thing.
talk about. We actually, I do have to shut
I
it
know,
down.
but just one
Go
quick
ahead. Go ahead.
one quick thought. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to sit down and have a conversation. Just because you don't agree with somebody
Hundred
doesn't
percent.
mean that you cannot see both views. I don't understand when we came to a point where human beings have been such a single-minded race. I just don't understand when we got to a point where we
Yeah.
couldn't necessarily judge, look at both
Nuance
sides
doesn't
and be like,
exist.
this is an extreme, this is an extreme. There's got to be somehow a middle point that's
Yep.
not perfect, but it's a little bit more middle than the two extremes.
Yep.
So I just don't understand that. But there it is.
We'll talk more on this in the next episode, but that's going to be it for this one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Everyone who is live, who was live, appreciate you
Yeah.
very much. And we
The
will see
lives are
you
best, man. I don't care if
in
you're lurking or you're participating in a conversation. You guys are awesome because if you do say something, it just gives that a little, little extra conversation.
for sure. We'll see y'all in the next one.